With maps, you can challenge the assumptions holding back your organization, or even your entire industry. Because maps help you see what's really happening and how the situation is changing. In other words, they improve your situational awareness. But what is situational awareness, and why is it so important? We've made a separate video exploring this, but let's summarize this critical principle here. When playing a game of chess, you are constantly faced with choices about which moves you should make. Should you make this move here, or that one there? Making the right moves requires being able to see the situation clearly, in this case by looking at the board, and understanding the truth of the current situation. In other words, where does the situation favour you or your opponent more? This is a principle well understood in warfare, a situation with lots of uncertainty and danger. During the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, US pilots claimed to be shooting down their counterparts at a ratio of 10-1, and this was despite flying the F-86, a technically inferior aircraft to the Soviet-made MiG-15 used by their rivals. Now, pilot training may have contributed to this advantage, but as both sides had elite pilots, it couldn't account for the massive disparity in the ratio. Eventually, the US put their advantage down to something that was entirely accidental. The F-86 had a bubble canopy over the cockpit, which meant the US pilots had an unconstrained near 360-degree view of the sky. In contrast, the MiG-15 pilots could only see part of the entire panorama from their cockpit. Their view was highly constrained. This design quirk enabled pilots in the F-86 to see their surrounding environment better, which enabled them to detect threats a split second earlier. And in the context of a high-speed dogfight, a split-second advantage can turn into a significant competitive edge. This advantage was explored by Colonel John Boyd, probably the greatest military strategist you've never heard of. Boyd was a fighter pilot instructor. He earned the nickname 42nd Boyd for being able to turn any disadvantageous position in a dogfight into an advantageous one in less than 40 seconds. Boyd eventually codified his teachings into something he called the OODA loops model. OODA stands for Observe, Orientate, Decide, and Act, and has been applied in a wide range of fields from military strategy to business and sports. In the observe stage, you gather information from your environment, from interactions you have with others, but also from observing how others interact with each other. In the orientation stage, you identify patterns in this data, and combined with your past experiences and natural sense-making capabilities, you generate options for action. Decisions in fast-paced and uncertain environments should be compressed, as actions flow effortlessly from the options you have generated, whereupon you observe again to gather information about how your actions have changed the situation. This is an ongoing iterative process of constant information gathering and sense-making that leads to an increased ability to shape the situation to your advantage. This is how you get inside your rival's OODA loop, by acting smoother and more effortlessly, so rivals have to spend their resources trying to figure out what you're going to do next, rather than focusing on the wider situation. You can now make moves to increase your rival's uncertainty and shroud their judgment in confusion. This is how you create real competitive advantage in a more uncertain world. You don't waste resources trying to get certainty about things that are impossible to know. You focus instead on creating a mismatch with rivals, increasing their uncertainty so they become incapacitated, which gives you more time to figure things out. It's why situational awareness, which is intrinsic to Boyd's model, is so important. It can turn time into a weapon, so you can start shaping an uncertain future to your advantage. It's why chess grandmasters seem to have the knack of making the right moves. They observe the current situation clearly, anticipate how changes will tip the balance of play, and make moves to limit their rivals' options for action. And with the map of your landscape, you'll be able to deploy superior situational awareness and start shaping the future to your advantage also.